Hello, everybody. SportsLogos.Net podcast, episode 8, with your unrealistically cheerful hosts, Chris Creamer, joined as always by my equally artificially enthusiastic host, Paul Caputo. Because why are we artificially enthusiastic, Paul? Tell me what's going on.
Chris, is there anything more exciting for our teams right now than the standings in the Eastern divisions of Major League Baseball? The Phillies off to their worst start since 2015, I think, maybe. It's just finished a 2-7 homestand at the time of this recording.
Oh, boy.
They score in one inning every game, and that's it. So, and at least the last 2 days, they've been able to do it on national television.
There you go. So everyone can share in your pain. But of course, your pain is being overshadowed by the New York Mets,
Yes,
who
that's
are
true.
just, as you know, a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays, who are also in pain this year. I'll briefly touch on that. But I got to say, it's kind of nice seeing that Bo Bichette's playing for a team slightly worse than us. Not
That
that I blame him for going to the Mets. I mean, who would turn down that deal he got from the Mets? I hold no ill will towards him, but I do hope that his team does horribly this year.
they swooped in at the last second and made an offer just as the Phillies were about to scoop him up. It's been downhill ever since then for the Phillies, but more downhill at the time of this recording for the Mets, as you point out. So, like,
Which is all that matters, right? Relatively speaking, our teams are doing better than the Mets, and that's all that matters.
yeah. Now, I don't know if Buster Olney has touched on this on his podcast, but the reason that the Mets are doing poorly is because I basically have all of their big stars on my fantasy team. So that's the reason the Mets are where they are right now.
Thank you, Paul. See, you took one for the team. You
Right.
knew that it would cost your fantasy team, but it would make us just a little happier
Yeah.
overall.
I will send my Venmo out to anyone who would like me to draft players from rival teams to have on my team so that they will also stink.
That's not the only thing I'm miserable about right now, Paul,
Oh,
because I have been given an honor of some sort, which requires me to go in front of a big group of people and speak for 2 or 3 hours, which is an honor, but is also terrifying and horrifying for somebody who crafted an entire industry to just stay at home and not have to talk to anybody. So,
tell me about this
um,
honor, Chris. What is it?
well, I'm not being honored, but it's an honor to
Oh,
be asked. I am hosting our town's Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony this week.
that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, and it's something I always kind of. Why don't they ask me to do something? You see the Sports Hall. I'm
You're
like,
right
I've
there.
been pretty decent. Yeah, I'm just down the street. Yeah, they finally. I was the keynote speaker a couple of years ago, and they were touched by my story, I guess. But part of my story was about how I don't like talking in front of crowds,
Hmm.
and I guess they figured, hey, what the heck? It'll be fun to make Chris talk in front of the crowd the whole night. Thank you very much, and I'm gonna go, and I know I'm gonna have a good time, and I know once it's over, I'm gonna feel like $1 million. But from the time they've asked me until the time I step up on stage, I'm just a miserable wreck. I
Ah,
can't focus on anything. I just know but you've done it enough times where you do TV things. I don't know about you, Paul, but if you get in front of a big crowd or you do like maybe a TV spot or a radio hit, you're kind of dreading it right up to the moment. And then as soon as it's done, you're like, oh, that was amazing. I feel great. I'm so glad I did that.
for my job that I've been in for 24 years and am leaving in August to move back east, as we have discussed, I think, on this podcast. I sometimes have to get up in front of a crowd of about 600 to 800 people at our annual
Ooh.
conference. And I, in recent years, have come to like totally, you sort of dread it leading up to it. And then up on
Mhm.
stage, it's like a total rush. And like what I have learned is that people at conferences don't expect a lot of jokes. And so they are like so relieved to have something to try to laugh at. I just make a lot of jokes. I don't know what kind of points I ever make, but if I make a lot of jokes, people are like, that was wonderful. And so
As long as you don't drone on and on, I think is the key.
all
Yeah.
right, look, I told you I'm very sorry about how I tried to take over the podcast with Todd Radom last week. I realized I was very enthusiastic about my San Diego Padres clubhouse experience. I said I'm sorry, Chris.
We loved the Padres interview. I posted your interview clips on Instagram and our Facebook page, and they did fantastic. So
And
Way to
people were
go.
much kinder in the comments on your post than other places I have seen those. There wasn't a lot of like, what an idiot asking such a stupid question. It was, like,
I clipped out most of
did
those,
you?
but we did get one guy called you a clown, I think.
Well,
But
it's not the first time.
nobody's gonna put down Paul on my podcast.
Yeah.
Let's catch up the audience members who have fast forwarded through all this part of the podcast to get to some logo uniform talk.
Yeah.
It was a big NFL week, wasn't it?
Yeah. No baseball on the docket this week, except for our Phillies Blue Jays talk that we've already engaged in. But we've got new uniforms from the Rams, Ravens, and Commanders. The 49ers have an anniversary patch for that all important 80th anniversary.
It's a
Uh,
big one.
it's huge. So, Rams, Ravens, Commanders, and we can talk about each of them individually here. But what I would say that I have noticed just from reading the fantastic coverage from Andrew Lind on the site
Hmm.
that these logos are, once again, this is a theme of our podcast, throwbacks. And as we talked about with the Atlanta Falcons, much simpler. Like all three of these seem like they're very simple designs, as you described the Falcons ones, just like T-shirts with numbers on them, and you felt like the
Yeah.
pants held them together. Do you have an overall sense for these?
Pretty much the same as the Falcons, right? Like we're removing a lot of the overcomplicated parts of the design, stripping away a lot of the unnecessary clutter, making this much more simpler design. You see it, especially with the Commanders going back in time to the Redskins days, really just introducing gold to that overall set and reducing the black has made a world of difference. And I talked about it on my YouTube video about this, but it really feels like a compromise to some of the fans who really never accepted the name change and still don't accept the name change based on the comments I was getting flooded with. But this is let's be realistic. They're never going back to that name.
Yeah.
So what is a solution? What is a way to say, hey, we get it. You're really attached to that identity. Understand that we can't go back to that name. What can we do to make you guys happy? Well, at least bring back the gold. At least bring back the original color scheme. At least bring back a uniform that feels like what they used to wear during those days. And we talked about it when these uniforms, details of the uniform started to leak out. And this is kind of like what the Cleveland Indians did when they switched to the Guardians, right? They pretty much kept the same look. They just changed the name of the team and added a new sleeve patch, right? It it seems to really help with the transition. It's not a band-aid being ripped off. It's a gentle, okay, we're kind of slowly stepping towards a new era of our team. Let's all just try to get through this together. And I promise it'll all be the same for you guys. But the Commanders, they went the opposite direction, right? They said, hey, we're a new team, we're a new identity. Here's a new color scheme, here's new modern uniforms. And that just got rejected as being too radical too fast. What do you think?
It reminds me a little bit of, bear with me here, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
When you break up with a girlfriend and she's like, "But let's still go get pizza every Friday night." Like, I'm a fan of the Band-Aid, Chris. Like, this feels like a solution that doesn't make anybody happy. And maybe I'm wrong about this. I'd be curious to hear from Washington fans on this. But
Hmm.
like, if you're a fan, if you're like one of these, like, we got to go back to that old name, like that identity, I grew up with it, and that's the team. And so you've got a brand that's like almost, but not quite that. Like, how satisfying is that? And then the flip side of that coin is like, if you're like, oh, thank goodness we're getting away from that era, and for all the reasons why we should be getting away from that era, thank goodness. It's like, okay, well, we have this new name, but we're really pretending that we're the old team here. So I am a fan of like just give me a whole new thing, right? Like give me a whole new thing. And as you know, when I write about minor league baseball for the site, I get to speak with Jason Klein of Brandiose, and he talks about something called the J curve. Is this a term that you've come across in rebrands?
I know a J stroke
Oh, I don't know what that is.
when you're in a canoe, I believe.
That's the canoeing content that everyone's been craving here on this
We
podcast.
finally delivered.
Episode 8, the canoe episode. The J curve is and he describes it specifically with the El Paso Chihuahuas. This team had the steepest J curve, where there's an initial "What in the world is this?" anger, depression, people getting called clowns, straight down, and then there's like it usually just takes a couple of days in minor league baseball. Probably in the NFL, it would take a lot longer. There's like a little bit of a like a leveling off, and then shoots way up the other side, and they're setting all sorts of records, and they're selling merchandise to all 50 states. I think you're way more likely to have a new identity embraced if it's a clean break and a new identity. And so I don't mind the simpler designs. I'm tired of like every single new thing being a throwback. Like, and all three of these feel like they're throwbacks.
Yeah.
Even the Ravens is like a throwback to their color rush jersey, right? Like, so
Right, right. I think you make a good point, and I think, perhaps the Commanders are just a bad example because their Band-Aid ripping was replaced by something that was so awful in terms of uniform design,
right,
right? Like, I don't mind the name; it's a little clunky. It doesn't really roll off the tongue nicely.
right,
Commanders. I'm going to say 3 syllables is too long.
right.
It doesn't abbreviate nicely. I've tried to fit it into headlines. It doesn't,
Yeah,
you know.
right.
So it's not a great name, but the uniforms they replaced the Redskins ones with they're just boring, right?
Yeah,
There's nothing to them. They felt like what stenciled numbers because of the Commanders, and we're
right.
going to put stars, just a plain W on this. It was boring. And maybe if they would replace them with like an actual decent uniform design, maybe there would have been greater acceptance. So it's
Yeah,
possible that this Commanders thing is just a bad example
like,
of how to rebrand
yeah,
a name that had to be changed.
yeah,
There are people who are like Redskins stands, right? Like
right.
they'll never change their mind. You'll never make them happy unless they bring the name back. Then there are those who you could say, yeah, I could see how the name had to be changed. I didn't really like that, but I did kind of like the look of the team and I kind of like the logo
Yeah,
that they had. And this might be a good way to appease them
yeah,
because that's probably a very quiet majority, I'm going to say. Commanders, I'm going to say that it was an upgrade simply because their previous uniform was so bad. Um, but it is a throwback. But like you mentioned, some teams just all the teams are pretty much going back to simplified throwbacks.
yeah.
The Rams, I think at least they tried to bring it a little forward with the number style that they put on their uniforms.
Hmm.
Typically, when these teams do throwbacks, you're getting back to those block numbers, which, yes, a classic throwback look, but ultimately you look like every other team in the league. And especially when it comes to, and we talked about this with the Falcons jerseys, a football jersey on the rack, when it's just block numbers in a different color, it's hard to represent your team that way. It's hard to stand apart from everything else on the shelf that way. So to see the Rams, hey, yeah, we're throwing back, we're simplifying a bit, but we're keeping these more modern numbers that are you know kind of shaped like ram horns and have that little embellishment and detail worked in. Yes, the gradients are gone. Thank you, because those are the intellectual property of the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. But at least the Commanders are a compromise between two different groups within the same fan base. The Rams are a compromise between those who want traditional uniforms and those who want more modern uniforms. How about
Mm,
we say that? That
okay.
makes sense?
It does make
Okay.
sense. And the flat design I think is really, that feels really clean and modern to me. And it makes me feel like the NFL and Major League Baseball are going kind of two different directions with uniform design right now. Like I feel like
Hmm.
Major League Baseball is getting wackier and the NFL is reining it in. And so that's sort of an interesting thing to say. I mean, I know that the new City Connects were more traditional than the previous ones, but I still think that the number of uniform sets that the Major League Baseball teams have and how different they all are from one another. Like the NFL is really honing in on each team having its own sort of brand equity in a way that Major League Baseball seems to be going the other direction.
Well, this is the Nike effect,
Mm,
right? So look at the NBA when Nike signed on. Look at the NFL when Nike first signed on. Things got a little wacky for a while, right? Look at the Arizona Cardinals. Look at the Atlanta Falcons. I'm talking about 10 years ago.
yeah.
Look at the New York Jets, the Jacksonville the Jacksonville Jaguars. All these teams that went a little over the top
Yeah.
because Nike came in, made a big splash,
Yeah.
and then eventually, took it back a bit. And that's what happens, 5, 6 years into Nike taking over a league's uniform supply. Major League Baseball is still in its infancy, I guess, with Nike, and we're still experiencing the first big Nike splash. And, I guess we'll have to wait and see what the City Connects look like 5, 6 years from now. Maybe they'll all be very traditional and every team will be wearing a City Connect throwback.
It's all going to be
But,
pinstripes and a script word mark, and that's it.
and you know what? I would love it.
You would love it. And
I would
Quikrete
love it.
ads, bright yellow Quikrete ads all across the board.
Oh, every team, it's quick, creek, week. It's like that oat milkers thing in minor league baseball.
Oh, the oat milkers. I still buy Oatly oat milk in spite of that, just because I think it's the best oat milk. But the
Not a
whole oat
sponsor.
milkers, they're not a sponsor. Hashtag not a sponsor. But Chris, I have before we get to the Ravens, I want to interject something that was related to what you were talking about with the Commanders, which is you brought up the Indians changing over to the Guardians, and one of the things that I think has happened with that is like that's another instance of a team like trying to appease fans of the old team by like even include like the look is similar, and even the last four letters of the name IANS, right? Like I mean there's something where they like just tried to toe that line. And if Cleveland, like we brought up the Spiders, right? Like if Cleveland had gone
Mhm.
with the Cleveland Spiders and a whole new brand, I think that you'd have way less rumbling now about. And I even like the name Guardians. Like I think it's cool.
Mhm.
Like it's a cool reference to the
Yeah, it's got
statues
a
on
good
the.
story. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like I love the background to that nickname. But I just think that like the reason that fans have really not embraced the Guardians name is that they're still getting together with their ex-girlfriend. Like they got to make a clean break. It's like no more
Mhm.
pizza on Friday night. It's over. Move on.
Do you not find that Guardians fans have accepted the new name? I know they haven't accepted the new logo, that's for sure. But the name,
Yeah,
I feel like they really want Wahoo back. A lot of people want
I love.
Wahoo back.
You know, it's a small sample size in my life, right? Like I don't
Hmm.
have that many Cleveland sports fans in my life, but the several that I do are just sort of. It's not that they really want the Indians name back; it's that they're just sort of lukewarm on Guardians.
Mm.
And I think they wouldn't have been if they had gone with Spiders, like I told them to. But that's
Nobody would oppose spiders. That would have been a
it
great
would have
name.
been so good, right? Like, and it wouldn't have towed that line that I think is
Yeah.
is causing problems in both Washington and Cleveland. And I think, I mean, there's this undercurrent of the fact that people feel like that they were forced to change their name because of their sense that it was just like woke political correctness was coming for their childhood, and it's
Hmm.
like that adds an element of like, oh well, let's like, can we just go back to this thing that I grew up with? And so
Hmm.
I don't begrudge people their nostalgia, even though, as
No.
you know, and I quote all the time, John Hodgman says nostalgia is a toxic impulse. And I think there's a way to work with Native American communities to make those names work. As you know, I'm a huge
Yep.
proponent of the Spokane Indians and the work they did with the
Hmm.
Spokane tribe of Indians. You can make it work. And Chief Wahoo is not the answer.
No, absolutely, absolutely not. It really felt like there was, and I, maybe it's just me not remembering properly, but I don't really remember a lot of proper outreach and trying to, design something respectful in coordination with the local tribes,
Right.
which is what Spokane did.
Yeah.
And look how successful that was,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, is there any reason did Cleveland try to do that? Did Washington try to do that? Or did they tell people that everything was cool until it
Yeah,
wasn't?
or maybe it sort of happened like after the fact, and
Right.
I mean, the Spokane did such a good job of like the branding came from the Spokane tribe of Indians, right? Like they
Hmm.
worked with Brandios to do all the technical aspects of it, but the it was actually a community member and the communities themselves who were like, these are the symbols that we think would be appropriate for you to use, and this
Hmm.
is how we would like to present them. They use the Salish language on their. They've got a
Hmm.
jersey in the Hall of Fame, right? Like, because they use the Salish language on their jersey, and I've been to a game there. You may be surprised to learn, since my daughter is at Gonzaga. I got the chance to go to Spokane, and I went to a game there, and they've got like like panels up around the stadium about the community, and they've got like explanations of like and so there's a whole very respectful thing going on there. And so it can be done, right? Like it can absolutely
Yeah.
be done. That's another point that I was, that was sort of ancillary to this, but I think it's an undercurrent for both teams. Like both there's a sense that like, oh, this got taken from us because of political
Mhm.
ideology that I don't agree with. And so like the teams trying to sort of like toe this line where they're like, oh, we're going to be kind of like it, but not really. I think that's part of the problem right now.
And here you go. Hey, now people know what it feels like to have things taken from them. Let's move
Nicely
on
done.
to the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah, the
And they
Ravens.
had some Ravens fans had something taken from them, and that is the color gold from their numbers. And the Ravens went all in on Edgar Allan Poe on this uniform, and
Yeah,
I
huh?
think that that is cool.
Yeah.
They're really their home and road set basically the same. They removed the gold from the numbers, which is a bit of a shame because I liked gold in their uniform set. But that alternate black helmet
Yeah.
with just the red eyes of the Raven
Uh-huh.
staring into your soul, Paul,
Right.
judging you, knowing all of your secrets. How do you
Okay, I
feel
killed the
about the
guy.
new? Yeah. There you go. And the whole reason why we had this podcast, get 'em, fellas.
Why is this floorboard thumping?
Oh, there you go. That was an Edgar Allan Poe
It
reference.
was.
There
It
you
was
go.
absolutely. I'm quoting all over the place here.
Jeez. Yeah, well, just do it in the privacy of your own room. What do you think of this new Ravens uniform? Simplified, and you could it's a throwback, but not really a throwback, right? Like they incorporated their color rush stuff, but their
Yeah.
home and road set, I would say that's not a throwback in any way. It's just more of a simplification of their current set. Call it an evolution, right? This feels like a natural evolution of a team's uniform rather than just, hey, we're going backwards again, which is
Right.
what we've seen all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. This is my of all the rebrands, this is my favorite just because it feels the most like an actual rebrand to me. Like this has the most new feeling. I mean, honestly, when I'm watching Washington and LA on the field next year, I don't think it's going to feel terribly different to me. Whereas I think these Baltimore uniforms sort of feel the most different. That black helmet that you described was genuinely striking, right? Like that's
Hmm.
of all these articles. I mean, and I was going through Andrew's work before we started here, and like of all the images that I saw in these articles, that helmet like popped out at me at the most, and like those red
Hmm.
eyes that you're describing. So yeah, if I maintain our Apple Podcast clean rating, those red eyes are kind of badass when that's the only non-neutral color on the whole helmet, right? Like that. Yep, I'm a fan. Not of the Ravens because Baltimore's a little too close to Philadelphia for me to root for any of their teams, but I do in particular that black helmet and just in general the overall sense that this is legitimately like
Hmm.
new. I like this one out of all the three.
And it says darkness there and nothing more inside the collar. That is just,
Oh, that's
that
cool.
is, cover your ears, kids. That is badass. Um,
Now Todd
I wonder
Radom would be
how,
like, "Who cares? Who cares? It's inside
well,
the color."
there you go.
Throwback to
uh,
week 7, everybody.
yeah, consult your podcast calendar. So I wonder how these will translate to on the field,
Hmm.
right? Are they just going to look all black?
Right.
And if so, I don't know if I like that. I don't know
Mm.
if I like just seeing a head to toe black uniform
Right.
from the 50-yard line camera.
Right.
They will look damn cool though in photos, and they did look damn cool in the release photos. I want to see them on the field before I get too excited about them.
Yeah.
But the concept of them and so far the execution of them, I think they've nailed. I just need to see them in a game before I'm totally 100% sold.
Yeah. I agree with that. Another thing that I'm pleased about, though, is like a team that is playing in Maryland did not use that flag. I mean, they referenced it a little bit with the shield on the sleeve,
Mhm.
but God bless them for not using that Maryland flag. I hope we don't see our numbers drop in Maryland here, but the flag is just everywhere. And we've talked about state flags. I know people love their state flag in Maryland. It's not a good state flag, Chris. It's not a good state flag.
Oh, well, so here, I'm going to bring our Maryland numbers right back up. I love the Maryland state flag, and I could go on for days
Mm,
talking about flags.
yes. You're a
We could do our
vexillologist,
own.
you are.
I am a vexillologist, and we could do a whole fun with flags side podcast. Absolutely.
That may just have to
Somewhere
be an
in.
episode someday, like uniforms based on flags.
Oh, yeah, we could do that in my sleep. I could do that episode. I'm somewhere in the deep darkest depths of my domain name hoarding. I have a flagnerd.com, which one day I will build a flag website, which will, get 15 visitors a month, but I'll be really happy working on it.
My minor league
Uh,
minute would very much be on the Fresno Grizzlies.
there you go. See?
Hmm.
Yes, you got it. Last note on the Ravens, and to save this whole flag thing, I like the pant striping, which is a little nod to both the Maryland and Baltimore flags. They put that little notch in the
Yeah.
stripe, which is supposed to reference the cut across the flag. It's got a name, Calvert. I think it's a
Mm,
Calvert.
okay.
As a flagnerd.com domain name owner, I should know that, but I think that's right.
Flagname.com, you said.
Flagnerd.com.
Flag nerd. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And now
We're
that I have the glasses, it's perfect.
Chris, you're going to be rich.
I'm gonna, yeah, sure. All the flag groupies. I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to. Kristen's gonna be upset.
That is funny. Well, I guess we disagree on the Maryland state flag, and that's good. I mean, a little disagreement here is, that
This
that
animosity is going to simmer,
yeah.
and it's going to come out in episode 75. I've had it with your Maryland state flag slander.
All
I
right,
can't work with this guy anymore.
every week I'm going to work in a jab at the Maryland state flag. So
I haven't mentioned your marathon running in at least 4 episodes.
that's true. We haven't mentioned that, but that's because the longest distance I've run in like the last, 4 months is like 6 miles. So
It's 6 miles longer than me. So
no marathon running coming up in my near future. But
it's the thin air. It's the thin air there. That's why.
it is that
Just
thin
blame it
air.
on
And when
that.
I move back to the East Coast, Chris, I'm going to feel just like superhuman with all that oxygen we have down in the air there on the East Coast. So, Chris, we have one more NFL thing here. There's a new patch in San Francisco, and it's not the Airwallex sleep ad on the San Francisco Giants
Do you
uniform.
have some sort of bingo card over there? I'm going to just mention every single corporate name I can.
What I have, Chris, is a side gig here where I'm
Knew it.
getting a lot of kickbacks from the
I knew it.
Airwallex and Quickcrete people. The Phillies just got swept by the Braves, and so I felt like I needed to take a shot at Atlanta in some way. So,
I support
but
that.
the 49ers are wearing an 80 years patch, and we've had this conversation about the number of years versus an anniversary patch, but they are wearing an 80 years patch. They actually screwed this up 20 years ago when they wore a 60th season patch when it was in fact their 61st season. It should have been their 60th anniversary. So Andrew points that out in the article, which I thought was very funny. But 80 years, and I guess they're celebrating all sorts of anniversaries. Any round number is a cause to celebrate. Big news. Did it crash the site when that article went up?
We're still recovering from it. The people, they love their 80th season or 80th anniversary, whatever it is. You know, a round number is great. It's exciting. It looks
Sure.
good on a souvenir football, I guess. But like once you get past, let's say 50, right? At that point, I think you're only celebrating every 25,
Mm.
right? Like you and I guess right now we could agree on what an acceptable years to celebrate are. Okay, so right now, what's the first anniversary not you personally celebrate, but like a franchise? What is the first milestone year a franchise should celebrate with a
Well,
commemorative patch?
as you know, I have been working really hard to line up a special guest for our all important 10th episode that we have coming up in 2 weeks. The big 1-0, Chris. So wait
That's
till you see
that's
who
worth
that is.
celebrating.
Okay. The first anniversary, I started thinking about this when I realized how long it had been since the Phillies won the World Series, which was last
Mm,
in 2008. And
mhm.
I thought, at what point do you start bringing those guys back for like commemorative nights? And maybe a World Series is different than like a franchise, but like a 10th anniversary and then maybe like a 25th anniversary. Like the 10th anniversary could be a little thing, 25, and then maybe 40 and 50, not 30. Little one on 40, big one on 50. And then I think 75 and 100. I don't think 80 is a thing.
We're talking franchises or World Series
Now we're talking
reunions?
franchises. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be
Franchises.
bringing back Jimmy Rollins and Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and in 75 years.
No, well, I hope they can, but
Right.
I have
Yeah,
my
we'll
doubts.
have downloaded their consciousnesses into the cloud.
If there was a 19-year-old on that team, 75 possible,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah, it'd be
I don't think there
94 at the
was.
time. Yeah.
So I agree with you partially, I think. I
Okay.
can certainly skip a fifth, but
Right.
a minor league, I think a minor league team can get away with a fifth anniversary
Right.
because, that's worth celebrating at the minor league level that you
Right.
made it 5 years,
Yeah.
especially in a new market.
I want to see a
Uh,
minor league team do like a just a silly number, like it's our 17th season, our big 17th anniversary. Like that would be a very minor league thing to do.
well, that would be the Charleston River Dogs. They did the best anniversary patch I've ever seen,
What did they
which
do? I feel like I
it
should
was
know this.
like I can't remember what exactly the number was, but it said 125 in dog years. Oh,
That's pretty
well
good.
done.
Yeah,
Well done.
that's really good.
Um,
Bill Murray is involved with the ownership of that team.
well, then there you go. That's
That's
exactly
so
why that happened.
they're in there doing funny stuff.
That's the brilliance of Bill Murray shining on an anniversary patch. The
Absolutely.
crossover we didn't know we needed, but we're glad we have. The 49ers did a fun one, or at least they planned to do a fun one when they had a 49th anniversary patch, but they didn't actually wear it.
Oh,
They designed it and it never got used. And somehow I got it, but
oh,
they instead decided to celebrate their 50th anniversary. What I think they should have done,
yeah.
and that would have been a lot of fun, is celebrate your 49th anniversary, which is actually your 50th season.
Right.
So just do it, right? Like,
Yeah, would have been
yeah.
perfect. All right, Chris, you can see me getting a little bit twitchy here. We've been talking about an awful lot of not baseball on this episode, and it is baseball season in spite of how our teams are doing. It's time, Chris, for the minor league minute.
So you're deciding that it's time for minor league minute? When did that
I
happen?
I think I have to because if I don't carve out this 1 minute for myself, I don't get any time to talk about minor league baseball.
And I can't stand a twitchy Caputo. That's for one thing. All right, Paul, take your little dopamine hit here. I got a minute up on the stopwatch. Whenever you're ready, I'll start timing.
All right, Chris, this week people can go read on the website about the Las Vegas Aviators, AAA affiliate of the team that is about to be the Las Vegas Athletics. They've done a gambler's theme in the past. They have unveiled a new gambling theme identity, the Villains, and this features a playing card king running with a stolen base, and it's like a king character from a playing card. He's got a bag over his back that has a rip in it. It's trailing poker chips, and he's wearing cleats, and he's got baseball stirrups on. And then on the back, they've got sublimated on the jersey a bunch of like many, many, many familiar patterns. It looks like a carpet in Las Vegas. They've got Las Vegas's iconic welcome sign. They've got all four suits from the playing cards. They've got a baseball. They've got a home plate. They've got baseball bats and swords. And they've got yellow and white type says Las Vegas Villains. That's the minor league minute.
Hey, you're getting better at this. I have a couple comments on this just from your description alone.
Yeah.
One, this sounds like a Las Vegas Athletics City Connect jersey.
Yes.
Two, I feel like if you change the name from Villains to say Kings, you make it a Ricky Anderson tribute jersey because this is the king of stolen bases running with a base. That sounds great. Three, are Kings villains? I guess it depends where you live.
Right.
And my country is very pro-king. Your country is very anti-king. They fought a whole war about it.
I attended the rally just recently, in fact. So
Oh, there you. I was talking about the 1700s, sir.
no, no,
But I
no.
suppose those are my thoughts on it. You're not allowed to comment on my thoughts though, because you used up all 60 of your seconds, much
Yeah.
like you used up two ABS challenges in a baseball game.
Damn it! I had that Fresno Grizzlies reference early on, and I blew it.
You gotta think there are consequences to your to your actions, sir.
Oh my goodness.
Uh, what do we have? We have another segment here, right?
We
What's this one?
do. You, Chris, have not gotten this segment was your idea, and this is going to be your first opportunity to participate in it. Where were you? Where we get to talk about a significant sporting event, and you get to tell us where we were. I talked about the time that I was snorkeling in New Zealand during the college basketball championship game when my Villanova Wildcats won. Last week, Todd Radom got to drop a bunch of names on us and talk about how he was, in Shea Stadium watching the Mets play with a patch that he designed, and he was sitting with, like, I don't know, like with the President of the United
The
States and the Queen of
president,
England.
not the king. Definitely not the king.
No, 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 no. So, where, Chris, were you during a signature sporting event? I can't wait to hear.
Well, with the NBA playoffs in full swing, I thought we would go back to an NBA playoff memory, which I imagine would impact both of our lives.
Oh
This
boy.
was during the 2019 run of my Toronto Raptors. And the Toronto Raptors didn't see a lot. Why are you sighing? The Toronto
Oh, nothing.
Raptors
I'm
didn't
sure
see
this
a
is going
lot
to be
of.
great fun.
I could have brought up all sorts of Joe Carter things. I chose not to. The
You, you,
Raptors didn't have a lot of playoff success, sir.
you've
The
referenced
Raptors,
you've referenced how you're not bringing up marathons and how you could have brought up Joe Carter. Chris, I think
I
you
could
just
have
brought
brought
those
up,
things up.
I could have brought Mitch Williams, Mitch Williams.
Oh my God.
Um, it's a little tick I have. I just have
Still
to
like
say
him
it
more
now.
than Kurt Schilling.
We have Jeff Hoffman now, so we're
Oh my
right there with
gosh.
you. Where were we? Are we using any of
2019
that?
Toronto Raptors.
The 2019 Toronto Raptors. Yes, so the Raptors, they went on a championship run, of course, as everyone has forgotten by now. The Raptors actually won a championship. And up to that point, they didn't really see a lot of playoff success. We got trounced by LeBron James 4 years in a row. Before that, the furthest we had made it was the conference semifinals against your Philadelphia 76ers, where in game seven, Vince Carter decided to attend his University of North Carolina graduation before the game and
That's
then
cool.
flew all the way back to Philadelphia. I mean, good on him,
Right? Right?
but they he got the ball with a second left and threw it up and missed. And that's how the Raptors got knocked out and how the 76ers ended up going on their own little run, which ended in the NBA Finals that year. That was in 2001. Let's fast forward to 2019, sir, where we are getting redemption. The Raptors are now facing their second round foe, the Philadelphia 76ers again. Again, we go to 7 games. Again, we get the ball for the last shot. And Kawhi Leonard throws up that miracle shot. It bounces off the rim, off the rim, off the rim, and into the net for a memorable buzzer beater at that time, and maybe still now, the only Game 7 winning buzzer beater in NBA history
Hmm.
to knock the Raptors into the third round and eventually the NBA championship. Where was I when that moment happened,
Yeah.
Paul? I was in my living room watching on my tiny television with my wife. My children were sleeping in bed at that time, quite young. When that ball went up in the air, I put my hands up in celebration. When it hit the rim, I put my hands on my head. And then when it bounced back and forth, I put my hands up in confusion. And then when it went in, I jumped with 2 fists pumped fully into the air, turned around, screamed at my wife in a celebratory way, not in an
Mm.
angry way,
Right, of course.
and fell as one does, as excited. What I didn't know, however, was that my wife was recording this moment
Uh-huh.
because in basketball games in the last few seconds, there's something really exciting about a close basketball game in the last few
Sure.
seconds. I stand in front of the TV and I pace and I pace and I pace. And this is a game seven last minute. I mean, so she showed me that video and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I posted it to my Twitter account where it got picked up by the Globe and Mail, which is a national newspaper up here in Canada, and they compiled it into a video of fans celebrating. And I was the first one they featured on that video, which is
Uh,
great. Me falling on my butt. And the comments, never read the comments, accused me of acting and staging and this is fake. Who records a
ah,
moment like this? My
right.
wife was bored. She
Your
wasn't
wife.
into the game. She thought it was exciting that I was nervously walking back and forth. And it was like a newspaper reporter accused me of who did it?
Come
I was like,
on.
come on, I'm a pretty damn good actor then, if that's the
Right.
case. Look
Yeah,
at that.
right? Yeah.
You're like that is pure passion in my face.
Chris, I am a huge fan of these videos. Like I love watching fans react with like this pure joy that they have in a moment like that. But I was watching that game, rooting for the 76ers. I do own a 76ers cap and a 76ers t-shirt. And I was rooting for the 76ers. I was in a Buffalo Wild Wings for some reason. I have no
Oh,
idea why I was in a Buffalo Wild Wings because that's not really common for me. But I was watching that game there, and there was a lot of baseball on as well because it was May, right? Like there was baseball as well. And even though I didn't really, follow the NBA, it was still a gut punch because like why does Toronto keep taunting me?
tell me the reaction of the fans in that Buffalo Wild Wings when that ball went in.
It was a little
I
bit
need
like
my dopamine hit. This is my minor league minute.
it was in Colorado, right? Like, and
Oh,
so
that's right. You weren't in
I
Philadelphia.
was not in Philadelphia. I was in Colorado.
Right.
So there was an acknowledgement of, wow, that was a cool big moment. Like that was a last second shot that double doinked and then went in. But it was not like you're not going to get the Schadenfreude that you're looking for here. It was not a bunch of crying Philly fans, right? Like it was just sort of like people in Colorado like, huh, that was pretty cool. So
How about that?
yeah, right,
You know
exactly.
what? I'll
Like
take it. I'm just
yeah,
happy they acknowledged we exist.
I love the Raptors name and brand, by the way. Like that's just like I realize it's a function of Jurassic Park,
Yeah.
but I
Not a
love
lot
it.
of Raptors in Toronto. I haven't seen a
Yeah,
single one
yeah. There's an
this way.
Ogden Raptors in Utah, and because they found a Velociraptor skeleton that's on display at the local museum. Should I start the clock again?
You're breaking into next week's time. It's up to you.
Chris, we're out of time for that Bridgeport Islanders story. We'll get to that next week, but
They're going to start
otherwise,
sending us emails, I think.
they're waiting for that Bridgeport Islanders story. So we'll get to that next week. But in the meantime, thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.
See you later, everybody. See you later, Paul.